What's up, everybody? This your boy, Pastor D. Listen, I'm right back here with you today again, as I'm continuing to talk about the 7 mistakes I've made as pastor. Thank you so much for all of you who joined the broadcast. If this is your first time being a part of one of my broadcasts, just got a couple simple things I want you to do for me. If you can, when you join the broadcast, if you would just put hashtag in your name so I can greet you properly, and so we can know who you are. I would that throughout this broadcast, if it's something that has been said that would truly bless your heart, give me some likes. If it will, yes. Hello, good afternoon, Miss Susie Q from London. Oh, that's Miss London. All right. Thank you so much. So we're going to be talking about part two. Point two, as if you were in the first broadcast, you can go back and watch the replay. Talk about 7 mistakes I've made as pastor. And this is one of those very, very transparent broadcasts. I'm going to be sharing some very, very important information with you. Just some of my struggles, some of my pains. Remember again, if you just joined the broadcast, just joined the broadcast, thank you so much, Ms. Demetrius, for sharing. I appreciate that very, very much. Share the broadcast. Get your friends and family on this broadcast. I'm not going to be as long as I was earlier today, but I'm going to be kind of brief, but I just want to make sure I get this information out to you. If you would, you can get pen and paper, take notes. If you're tech savvy, you can use your phone and take notes with your phone as well. But this is going to be some great information. We had over 50 people watching this morning. I've had people hit me up on Facebook and on Twitter, how, especially some pastors, how it really changed and transformed their life. And then I had some young lady even hit me up and say it was like, wow, didn't know some of the things the pastors go through. So this is going to be some great information. Again, as we get ready to get started, remember, do me a favor. If it's something I said that would truly bless your heart, give me some hearts. Also, I ask that you share the broadcast. And if you would, for me, one simple rule that when you log on, if you would just put a hashtag and your name, let me know who you are so I can greet you properly. All right. So now, as we get into this, point number 1 this morning, we talked about being sent and not called. One of the mistakes I made, I was sent and I was not called by God. Quick recap. Greetings, Sister Melissa Mitchell. Yes, my Greater New Zion, full gospel family in the house. Bless you. Being sent and not called was the first and I think vital mistake that I made as a pastor. And some of the things I talked about was making sure you're led by God before you accept the position as pastor, or you decide to plant a church. Make sure you research the church history. Make sure you know the ins and outs. Make sure you understand the culture, the climate of the ministry, whether it's traditional or non-traditional. And I talked about that, which is leading me into point 2. And this is going to blow your mind because I had to put this book on the shelf. I was almost done writing it, but I had to put this book on the shelf because God has put in my spirit. I had to come out with this book soon. But book after this one will be The Identity Crisis. That's part number 2. The second mistake I made was I had an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. And some of you, to be honest, you don't know who you are. And I think that was one of the mistakes I made. I walked into a situation and I had no clue who I was. So I could not truly be beneficial to them because I had no clue who I was. And in return, they had no clue who they were. So the reality of the fact is you had 2 groups of people who had no clue who they were. And it became clash. It became tragedy. Because whenever you don't know who you are, you're trying to mimic what you see or what you think is good for you, only to discover that may be good for them and their ministry, but it can be very detrimental to you and where God has placed you. Because if you're going to be productive in pastoring, I'm sharing with you, and someone say, well, you're not a mega pastor, you're not this. I'm sharing with you my struggles, knowing that I can be a more effective pastor when God shifts me to that next level again. So the identity crisis, know who you are. Know who you are. Make no mistake and no apologies for who you are. And if who you are does not line up with where you're going, then you need to go back and have a conversation with God to get clarity. Is this where God wants me to be? Because as I talked about earlier broadcast, the dangerous thing a pastor can do is conform to be something that he's not, to chase a title. You cannot conform to to something that you're not. For when you begin to understand, the Bible teaches us, you must not conform to the things of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, which is the second part of this identity crisis is have solidarity in your thinking. Have solidarity in your thinking. What does that mean? Let me sum it up for you. Have a foundation. Know what you believe. And when you know what you believe, you're not going to let people or circumstances or conditions or trials or tribulations shape your thinking. Know what you believe. And that's one of the mistakes I made as pastor. I didn't know what I believed. I was a part of the Baptist church. And if you really want to know something about me, because people, would tell me, boy, you grew up Baptist all your life. Well, that's not necessarily true. I was a member of a Baptist church, but at the age of 9, I was a paid musician for a Full Gospel Baptist church in the city of Baton Rouge, which I began to go to the pastor's other location in St. Gabriel, Louisiana. So from the age of 9 years old until, I corrected age of 11 years old, till I was about 21, 22, I was a part of a Full Gospel church. I was assistant minister of music for the state of Louisiana for the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship. So I grew up around a bunch of things. I've always kept close ties to my Baptist roots, but I was in an identity crisis when I became pastor, because I had this Baptist which was in front of me, but I've also had fellowship with Full Gospel. I embraced the charismatic movement, and when you don't know who you are, it's hard to articulate to others who you are, because you find yourself being false and not being true to what God has called you to be. So have solidarity in your thinking. If you believe that this is who you are, this is what God has said to you, you don't let the devil in hell stop you or transform your thinking. And too often I see people go in one way and come out a total different way, and they're just crazy. They're confused. The pastor's confused. The church is confused. I ran into that. I ran into as pastor. I had, and because I was young, I didn't have proper guidance and proper instruction and wisdom around me. They would ask me questions. Well, Pastor, what are we? Are we a part of the Baptist? Are we a part of the Full Gospel? And because I was young, I would get angry. Don't ask me that question. You whatever I say you are. And the reality of the fact is that because they couldn't articulate it, but they were confused because I was confused. And that's not a knock on the Baptist or the Full Gospel, but I was confused. So confusion breeds confusion. So know that. So be solid, have a solid thinking process. Believe something, have the foundation, and stand on that. And don't accept a church that contradicts what you think or what you believe. If you're a Kojic pastor and you are going into a Baptist church, and expect there to be some chaos. Now, can those people transform? Yes, but not all the time will they. And you'll find yourself causing more damage than you are good. And when you do that, you as the pastor is damaged, as well as the people that you're leading are damaged. Then not only that, know your style. Know what's your flow. You know, what's your flow? How do you flow? As pastor, I went in there, I had no clue. So I was trying to flow like I saw other denominations or other people or what I saw on TV, and I had no flow. I was flowing like some everybody. And before you knew it, people would start labeling me as a full gospel boy or a Kojic boy or a Dr. R.A. Vernon boy or this person or that person or a Bishop Grant boy. And because I had no, I didn't know my style. And what I mean by style is, how do you flow? You know, are you manuscript? Are you just a couple points on there? Or you just fly off the cuff? You know, I mean, know your style. Be who you are. Be who God has called you to be. And these are some principles. Know who you are. Solidarity in your thinking. Know your style. And too often we'll try to mimic what we see on TV or our favorite preacher's style, only to discover that we have no identity of our own. I don't care what Reformation you're part of, and some people may get upset when I say this, but you got to be who you are. I can be a part of a Baptist or a Full Gospel or a Kojic or an AME and still know my style. And I have to know those things. And when you don't, you'll find your church, you find you got a piece of this and you got a piece of that. And then this is the craziest thing people will tell you. You know, when you come to my church, you got a little bit of everything. You know, that's a spirit of confusion. We didn't know what is going on. What church is this? You know, so know your style. I got two more quick points. I'm gonna be out of here. Let's close number one. You know, for the preacher. All right. So let's recap this. You know, the second mistake I made was an identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. I didn't have solidarity in my thinking. I was confused in my style. But the next point is, I was an angry black man. Listen to me when I make this quote. And some of you can retweet this, Facebook it, Periscope it, however you want to do it. A lamb, pastors, you got to be a lamb in the pulpit and a lion behind closed doors. You have to learn that. You have to learn to be a lamb in the pulpit and a lion behind closed doors. Now, let me take a moment and unpack this, because people will say, well, I ain't weak. No, the old folk didn't have Bible, but they would say it like this here. Know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. Every moment is not an act of fool moment. Every moment, Pastor, just because you're in charge and you want to be deep, you think you can check everybody from the pulpit, and then we'll take a strained exegesis on a particular text and say that we're rebuking people, because you got to understand. Paul also teaches us that we must tell the truth and tell it in love. You know, and everybody can't handle the truth in an open setting. Now, are there times where you have to, deal with people? And I still think you can rebuke people in love, not in this authoritative or this dictative state, like I'm in charge and it is what I say so. And all we do is make people angry and bitter. And then we wonder why we get some of the response that we get. It's because we haven't mastered being a lamb in the pulpit and a lion behind closed doors. And what I mean by that is that guess what? In closed door meetings, then I'm going to say some things that I wouldn't normally say from the pulpit. The problem I had, I would say it behind closed doors, and I said in the pulpit. And I even know preachers, God bless their heart and bless their souls. You would cuss folk from the pulpit. oh my God, you know, you would go off and get into a screaming and fighting match with people from the pulpit, you know, in doing church service. We got to check that. We got to challenge that. You know, we're not called to be people's daddy. We're called to shepherd them. Yes, be a parent of a sort, but not to rule their every thought process and every deed. And we understand that sometimes we run people off. Now, you might not even be talking to them, but you run them off by your response and by how you handle situations. So that was one of the mistakes I made. I was just going in angry. It was why? Because of my past experiences. And then the previous pastor, the church I was at, the pastor at that church who I was up under, you know, I saw how they treated him. They treated him like a dog. And I said, if I ever became a pastor, ain't nowhere in the world they're going to talk to me like that. I'm going to get them all told, you know, and I don't make apologies for it. I'm from the hood, you know, I go stupid, you know, and I had to check that. And as pastors, we always tell people, this is what I hear pastors all the time. When you come to the church, check your attitude at the door. Or if you're a school teacher and you're teaching kids, you tell them, check your attitude at the door. But then the same thing that applies for them needs to apply to you. Okay? So making sure that we are a lamb in the pulpit and we're lying behind closed doors, knowing what to say, when to say, and how to say it. And you can get more accomplished telling people the truth in love and not just being harsh and being angry and hollering and screaming all the time. Okay? All right? So I want you to challenge you that, Pastor. Last thing, I'm getting up out of here. Okay? All right. Be careful who you get advice from. Get close to the screen. Let me look at you real close. Be careful who you get advice from. I believe every pastor need to have a pastor. I think it was Dr. R.A. Vernon who penned a famous quote, simply said, don't tell me who you're over until, first of all, you tell me who you're under. I'm a little leery of pastors who don't have a pastor. I'm a little leery of those because now you flying all willy-nilly, as said the entertainer would say. So I want to challenge you to be careful who you get advice from, because everybody don't mean you any good. And then you got to be careful because some of the advice that you get, it may have worked for them and the people that they lead, but it may not work for you. And we got to be careful because we'll say things like this. Well, it's the same situation. Well, it may be the same situation, but not the same group of people. So we got to be careful that in this season, who we're getting advice from. Everybody can't handle you when you're going through a storm or when you're going through a trial and through a tribulation. So I want to challenge all of you that's a mistake I made. I didn't know who to get advice from. I was talking to everybody I know, you know, every preacher and pastor, because before I became a pastor and a preacher, I always have a relationship with preachers because I was a musician. So I would travel and go places and do different things and the whole 9 yards. And so when I became pastor, I had a relationship. So I would call and I was getting advice from everybody. On to discover that I would go into a meeting, one meeting saying something I got from this pastor, go to the next meeting saying something I got from that pastor, then go to the third meeting saying something I got from this pastor I talked to, only discover that what that pastor told me contradicted what the first one said. And the second one was just way out in left field. So I was confused, the people were confused, and then they would challenge me on what I had said, and then I would get angry and pull, you know, the I'm in charge card. Don't challenge me, do what I say. You know, and I found myself to be in a very miserable state. But it wasn't until, I thank God, give a shameless plug to hit it today, to my pastor, Bishop James Anthony Grant. of the Greater New Zion Full Gospel Baptist Church. I'm telling you, he is a man of a character and integrity. He would call me and tell me, hey man, what are you doing? Don't say it no more. Or he would stop by my church just to check in on me. And he would say, he would call me, hey, don't say that no more. And so I found myself, I would call him when I was getting ready to go into, which sometimes, I would be in some terrible situations at the church, and he would guide me through that. My pastor, Bishop Grant, he would guide me through those situations. I am half the pastor I am today because of Bishop Grant. Between him and the Lord, I thank God for both of them, because they were leading me and guiding me. Because, man, I was out there crazy, because there's no pastor manual. Because all people want to talk about is the success. And yeah, we'll bring up certain scenarios that we've been through, but nobody want to talk about, hey, I failed at this. Don't get up and be general with me and tell me, oh, I've had some failures. I mean, if you're a Christian, we all know we have some failures, but it's when we become generalized. No, man, I did this and it did not work. I did this and it did not work. So I want to challenge you in this season. Point number one was being sent and not called. That's the mistake I made. I was sent to a church and not called by God to a church. But the next thing is, we got to talk about the identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. Have solidarity in your thinking. Know your style. Be a lamb in the pulpit, a lion behind closed doors. And be careful who you get advice from. Many people today and pastors have been put out of their churches because they've gotten advice from the wrong person. And not always that the advice was to harm you intentionally. It just did not fit your situation. So I want to challenge you. Share this broadcast with somebody. I know some people have joined on the broadcast. Let me know you're on. Have simple rules on my broadcast is, hey, if you like what I've said and been a blessing to you, give me some hearts. And also, you join the broadcast and you want me to know who you are so I can greet you properly, just put a hashtag and your name so I can greet you properly. I do want to take about 1 minute, 2 minutes, and open up if you have any questions or any comments about anything I've said, anything that I can do to help be a blessing to you. Because in this season we are making some mistakes. Hey, bless you, Lady Lacey. Lady Lacey, thank you so much. Lady Angela Lacey, Full Gospel, New Life, Full Gospel House of Worship. Thank God for her and her pastor. Shout out to Demetrius, Greater New Zion. Bless you. Also, Miss Sarah from Greater. All right, my Greater fam on. And I'm talking about Greater Wood. All right. Let me stop. The hood coming out of me. Okay. All right. But yes, those are some of the mistakes I made as pastors. And you might say, well, Pastor, I'm not a pastor, so how can this help me? When you see an individual making some of these mistakes, you can identify with them. And it's not always time to walk away, but it's your time to pray. And I want to you hear me closely. It's never your job to correct your pastor. God will correct them. But when you see them making some of these mistakes, you know I got to intensify my prayers. Because you will know if they have great potential to be the best pastor in the world. And so it's not your season to walk away, because let me help you out with something. As I give you these 7 mistakes, go through this process, I guarantee you every pastor has made at least one of them. I don't care whether they're famous, they got 20,000 members, or they got 5 members. They've made at least one of these mistakes, or they can identify one of these mistakes if they're real and honest with themselves. So my job is to eliminate you as the member from going from church to church and being a church hopper only to discover that every pastor you're going to come in contact with is going to make one of these mistakes. Or I'm encouraging that pastor, to get it together either before you're going into a ministry, or if you're there, God can turn that thing around in a drop of a dime. So I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. Hey, Brother Brian Mitchell, bless you. I'm telling you, man, y'all making me feel like a little kid in the candy store. My greater family is definitely supporting this broadcast. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Just as I said again, I'm getting ready to get off here. But if you enjoy what I'm saying and you like this broadcast, I'm asking you, invite some of your friends to follow me, please. Invite some of your friends to follow me. I will definitely be keeping great information coming to you. And from time to time, you'll catch me on here, just having a little fun with me and my kids and my family, because I am a family man. I love my wife and my children. I want to give a shout out to my queen, my wife, Lady Ashley Dominic, who helps me continue to keep going and going on. So I thank God for her and my children. So continue to pray for us. So remember, if you just joined on, real quickly, we got about 1 minute. If you have a question or you have a comment you want to make about anything I've said, or if you just joined on, yes, what do you say when someone is talking about the pastor to you? You think he's telling their problem? Ooh, wow. What do you do when the pastor you're talking to and you think they're telling someone else your problem? That's a dangerous scope, okay? That's a dangerous place to be in because your pastor is your confidant. And there are certain legal ramifications there. I'm not an attorney. I'm not here to give you legal advice. But I would suggest that you seek an attorney in that area, because we are bound by no, not the pastor, the member. All right. So what do you do if the member is talking to you about the pastor? Am I correct, Ms. Demetrius? What do you do? Okay. What do you do if the member is talking about the pastor to you? Then your response should always be this: if you have a concern, go talk to the pastor. When they begin to start talking, don't let them finish. Because I always know this: when you let people finish their thoughts and their statements about your pastor, then you become just as guilty as they are. I'm going to tell you why. Because they're going to say, well, I told her such and such. So she knew too. And people will include you in drama that's unnecessary. So when people come up to me, first of all, you need to ask yourself this question. What makes them feel so comfortable that they can come to you and talk about your pastor? So you pray for those individuals, and then you say, I'm going to give you a neat trick. I tried one time. It worked. It may not work for everybody, but you tell a neat trick. I said, oh, for real? Come with me for a second. Come in. And I took them to the pastor. I said, now, he just simply said that this, and this. He had a look on his face and get an opportunity. So that left me out of the equation. But then also you pray for those individuals. Thank you, Lady Lacey. You pray for those individuals, and every situation is different. People, because all people are not the same. All people are not the same. The book of Matthew talks about taking your offenses to the person first. Yes. You encourage them to do that. I do understand that everybody won't do that. Okay. You have to be wise in that situation and let God speak to you on what to do at that very moment, because we can all give you different scenarios, but every situation is different, and you got to know the individual. But I will say to you, the best thing you do is avoid those type of conversations. Stop them if you can before they get started, and you just go your separate ways. That's just the simplest thing I could just tell you. Do the best that you can to stop it, and know that you're not a part of it. Now, some people will say, go tell the pastor. Everything is not a go tell the pastor moment. Some stuff you just need to brush on and keep on moving. Because if they tell you they'll tell somebody else. Eventually, it'll get back to the pastor. And then there's some things that don't need to get back to the pastor. It ain't worth it. Just ask God to lead you and guide you in the direction. But most importantly, never indulge in conversation about your pastor other than to pray for him and to speak well of him. And I promise you, when you do that, people will know where you stand. And most folk won't come. Now, there are just messy people out there. And everybody on this, we know some messy people. No matter what you say, they're going to try to bring mess. But you just kill it and keep them moving. All right. Do I have any more questions? Real quick. I'm a little bit over time, but right. I told a person to pray, get out there feeling, go to the pastor and live. That's right. And they come back again. Go hood on them. Didn't I tell you at the last time? Don't talk to me like that. I'm just playing. Don't do that. All right. We don't want you getting in a fight in church. All right. Absolutely. Don't entertain them. Just pray for them. Amen. That's thank you, Lady Lacey. You do that. Just pray for them. But again, they come back again. Go hood. I told you last time. You think my answer gonna change? No. You just tell people in love, and eventually when you're getting your spirit when you see those folk coming, you just go in the opposite direction because they ain't about to say nothing good or positive. All right, I love you so much. I thank God for your very, very life. Listen, I'm going to be uploading this to my YouTube account. The I Believe. Yeah, I'm talking about Good Hood, Go Hood. I have this. I'm gonna share it with you. My greater fam, they know me. They know. I have this saying. We need to have some hood Christians. Some hood Christians. Every now and then, hood folk, they act stupid and go crazy anywhere. They go act stupid and go crazy. All right, DC Simmons 28. All right. They go hood and stupid anywhere. So you got to make sure, in this season, God looking for some hood Christians that you will praise God and you will shout and you will dance anywhere. All right, that's a little humor for you. So listen, I love you. Sometimes a little hood. That's what I'm talking about. Go. You don't know that. All right. This is supposed to be a professional and dignified broadcast. Okay. All right. So let me not go there. I love all of you. Please, this has been a blessing to you. Give me some hearts. Also invite your friends and family to follow me. I promise you, we're going to have fun. But this is a serious issue. This is close to my heart. And I just want to expose, not so much expose, because we all think about the word expose as something bad. I just want to reveal to you some of the struggles I've had as a pastor. And my prayer is that some pastor or even some member on here may identify either whether they know someone who made some of these mistakes, or as a pastor, you made some of these mistakes yourself. And listen, if you made a mistake, bounce back. Let it go. Don't hold on to that. Don't hold on to a grudge. Listen, I thank God for the church. God allowed me to pastor for so many years, for 9 years. Free Spirit Church. We changed the name of it from Cathedral of Free Spirit Missionary Baptist Church to Free Spirit Church. I'll go a little bit later on. We continue these broadcasts and talk to you about some branding issues when you with your name. And things like that. But listen, God has truly blessed me. I went through this. I am a survivor. Thank you, Beyonce. I appreciate that. I am a survivor. I'm not going to give up. God has been too good to me. He's brought me so far. So I pray this information to bless you. And listen, get out there. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. All right, do all that. I promise you, it'll be a blessing, best of your life. Listen, I got one quick announcement before y'all go. I'm gonna watch Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm gonna be sharing with you. Listen, it's gonna be phenomenal this Thursday at 8 p.m. For many of you who don't know, I'm a talk show host. The I Believe talk show is going to be in Dallas. Well, I'm living in Frisco, Texas now, but it's going to be in Dallas, and we're going to be at this phenomenal event, Sister Faith Anderson event. It's going to be phenomenal. Some of the greatest gospel artists in the country going to be here, and it's during MegaFest. Yes, it's during MegaFest. So we're going to be off the chain. The pre-show at 8 o'clock on Thursday night. On theibelievetour.com. Listen, you can go there and watch the talk show on this Thursday and hear some great music by some great artists. It's going to be phenomenal. And I will be hosting the show. I will be hosting the show. Yes, we're gonna have some fun, and you know me, when I do it big. Well, so listen, be looking out for the flyer information this Thursday. Yes, tomorrow, 8 p.m. theibelievetour.com. I love you so much. I'm praying for you. Give me some hearts. Love on somebody and tell somebody. Yes, God is up to something. God is up to something. Thank you, Lady Lacey. It's theibelievetour.com. 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 So get the information out there to everybody and watch. Listen, it's going to be off the chain. Love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. And listen, whatever you do in this season, shout, I believe. Peace.